Just as it is the case that you are what you eat, it is also the case that you are who you hang out with. Jim Rohn said that you are the product of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, or the average of the 5 people with whom you spend the most of your time. Think about that. What kind of people do you hang out with? And how does that reflect in who you are and what your life is like? And before you start arguing about having no choice when it comes to things like family and coworkers, right? You spend a lot of time at work and spend a lot of time with your coworkers. There are things that you can do to maximize your time with the right people. And what I mean by the right people is people who support you, people who lift you up, not people who stress you out and tear you down and put you down. People really should be a benefit to one another, and that means who we should be to others too, not just who we would like for people to be to us in our own lives, but also what we should be to them. So I bring this up because as we talk about stress on this channel and effective stress management, you can have all the tools in the world in your stress management toolbox, but if you hang out with 5 people who are toxic or negative or tear you down or stress you out all the time, you have that much more work to do in terms of managing stress. So as harsh as this may sound sometimes, it's time to do a review, an assessment of who are the 5 people you hang out with the most. And if they're not the right people, it's time to change your people. You may not be able to change your family, and you may not be able to change your coworkers, at least not very easily in many cases, but you can decide who you spend your time with beyond that. So maybe if you have a job that's not ideal in terms of the kinds of people with whom you spend your time, don't linger. Put in your time and then get out of there. If your family is a source of stress, do what you need to do in terms of familial obligation, but then get out of there. Make other connections, friendships, relationships that are beneficial to you, people who support you and lift you up and are helpful, not harmful, people who are not bringing more stress into your life, but rather making your life more delightful and more fun and more interesting. So while we all work within some kind of parameters of family and potentially colleagues at work, those relationships are not a death sentence if they're not the right relationships. Those relationships are simply the ones that we need to be aware of and mindful of, and we should work towards enhancing other kinds of relationships and spending more time with other kinds of relationships, the ones that benefit us. So if you are saying to yourself that an unfortunate part of your reality is that maybe you have an office where you work, some colleagues that are negative or that are stressful to you, or maybe if that's the case with your family, again, make the choices of how and where and with whom you spend your time. You don't have to be there with them all the time. You can choose to spend as much of your time as possible in the right kind of company. So minding your company, minding the people with whom you spend your time, minding your relationships is critical. Because again, ideally, the people in your life should enhance your life. They shouldn't bring more stress into your life. So look at the relationships in your life. Look at the people with whom you spend the most of your time and make a decision. Is it time to shift how much time you spend with certain individuals or certain groups of people? Is it time to find different people who are more like-minded, who are more like you, who are more likely to support you, other people that you can support in kind? But if you stay with the kind of people who bring stress and destruction and negativity in your life, and you do absolutely nothing about changing that, changing those relationships, severing some of those relationships when possible, and altering the amount of time you spend with them, then you will what you have been getting. So there's always things that you can do. So look at the relationships in your life, look at what they do for you, look at what you do for them, and then decide. Is it time to change those relationships and decrease the amount of time you spend with those people, or maybe cut those relationships out of your life altogether in some cases? Or is it time to maybe work on enhancing those relationships because they're good ones and you want to make sure that you keep them? So this week, think about the relationships in your life and what they do for you, what you do for them. Are they relationships that you should keep? Maybe get rid of them, maybe minimize them, or enhance them. Spend more time with them because they're good for you. Only you can answer those questions. But the people in our lives affect our lives. Stress is a big deal. It's something we all have to deal with. Don't take on more stress by taking the wrong relationships and the wrong people into your life and keeping them there. If you'd like to learn more about a comprehensive approach to stress management, check out the link below.